Alrighty guys, it's Amit and welcome back to DevDreamer. So as we continue our study on HTML, we've been looking at HTML forms. So in the previous lesson, we looked at all the different input types we can use, so we have them all here. If you haven't seen that video yet, do go back and watch that one before moving on to this one. In this lesson, we're going to continue our study on HTML forms by looking at some additional fields that we can have, as well as some really cool HTML5 elements as well. Okay, so let's begin. So the first one we're going to look at then is text area. So we just do text area. So we have an opening text area tag and a closing text area tag. Now the text area tag basically defines a multi-line text box, like you can see here. So we can do this and we can write on multiple lines. Okay. Now brackets by default has given us some attributes here for text area. So we have name, and in the previous lesson we learned that this is basically used to identify an input field, and it's used in backend scripting such as PHP. Again, when we start looking at PHP, we'll look at this in a bit more detail, but for now we can just get rid of it. ID is basically just used to select this particular text area field in our CSS, and we'll be looking at CSS in our next series, but for now, of course, we can just get rid of it. And now we have cols, which is short for columns, and rows, which of course is just rows. So cols and rows basically specifies the height and width of our text area field. So if we were to change the cols here, remember columns go down. So if we were to change this to, let's say 50, we're going to have an extra 20 rows, so an extra 20 columns, going across here, which is why it's actually increased the width of our text area there. And then let's actually change this to, let's change this to 5. Okay, so now in terms of rows, we just have 5 rows going across, which is why it's changed the height here of our text area. Now, we can actually specify the width and height of our text area using CSS, and that's actually preferred. So if we get rid of this, okay, and let's go to our CSS file, and then here let's select the text area, okay, to our curly braces, and inside here let's say width, and let's give this a width of, let's say 50%. Okay, so 100% would actually be the full width of the page, okay, like so. So let's just go for 50%. And then for the height, let's go for 200 pixels. Okay, so now this is a width of 50% and a height of 200 pixels. Now at the moment, these values will be the default size for this text area, but the user can come here and just change the size of the text area here by simply clicking on the corner here and just dragging, okay, and just changing the field to suit their needs. So how do we disable them from doing this? Well, we can just come into here and we can just say resize none. Okay, and now they're not able to do that. Okay, it's fixed to whatever width and height we specify, and they can actually change it. Now let's head on over back to our index.html file, and let's see what other attributes we can use on our text area. So again, we can do the max length. Okay, so this specifies the length of characters that can be used in our text area. So let's just go for 150. So now if the user was trying to type more than 150 characters in here, it wouldn't actually let them. We can also specify in here whether we want this to be disabled as well. So we can just go disabled, and now refresh, and now we can't actually click into this because this whole text area field now has been disabled. We can also choose to give it autofocus. So remember, these were just the sort of global attributes we looked at in the previous lesson. Autofocus, so just refresh, and now we can see that it has been focused on automatically. Now the other thing with text area is that it is not white space insensitive. So for example, if we came here and did some space and then I started typing, the text here doesn't start where we'd expect it to start up here in the left, but it's actually taken note of that white space. Okay, so generally our HTML file is not white space insensitive. So if we go here, do some space, okay, you can see that this remains the same, but the text area field is white space insensitive. Okay, so just bear that in mind when using the text area. Okay, so that's the text area element. Okay, let's now take a look at another one, and this one we're going to look at is basically how to create a drop-down list. Okay, so it's very simple. We simply use the select and option elements. So let's do select. Okay, again, name and ID. Let's just get rid of those. We don't need them here. Okay, so we have opening and closing select tags, and then inside this then we can start doing our options. Now before I do that, if you take a look here at our screen, you can see that the select tag has actually been rendered right next to our text area. And just to make this look a bit better visually, let's just go into our style sheet here and let's add text area as well as select to this here. And this is basically taking all our input fields, our text area and our select, and giving it a display of block. Because by default they have a display of inline. So if we were to just get rid of this, you'll see that this is what it looks like, and a bit of a mess. Okay, so let's just put that back there, and let's head back to our HTML file. Okay, so we have our select tags here. How do we then specify our options? Okay, so at the moment, if we click on this, we don't get anything. But we can use the option tags inside our select tag here by doing option, and then we give it a value. And again, the value is used for specifying what option we've chosen. So for example, if in here I said, let's give this value of red, and let's just copy this, and let's just say blue, and save. If you look here, if I click on this, we're still not seeing options of red and blue. That's because we need to put our text options, in other words, what the user actually sees, in between our option tags. So here, this is red, and this one is blue. Okay, so now we select it, we've got red and blue. Okay, so value is basically whatever they select, and the text that we see here is the text that the user will see rendered onto the screen. Okay, let's just do 2 more here. Let's just go for green and yellow. Green, yellow. Okay, so here then we have red, blue, green, and yellow. Now we can also group these by using the opt group tag. So in here we can say opt group, which is just option group. Okay, and inside here we can just copy all these, and let's just paste them in here. Okay, and then here we can say label equals colors, and now we can see we have a label there that says colors, and they're all grouped. So we can create another one here, so still within the same select tag. Let's just copy this, and here let's go for food, and let's say pizza, pasta, chips, and rice. Let's just change the values. Pasta, chips, and rice. Okay, save. And now, if you click on our drop down, we have colors, red, blue, green, yellow, food, pizza, pasta, chips, rice. So that's basically how to create a drop down list and how to group different options. Okay, the next one we're going to look at is brand new in HTML5, and it's basically used to provide the user with a list of predefined options, and it also has a autocomplete feature so that when they start typing, the relevant options will actually come up. So let me explain by taking a look at an example. So here then we can say input, and now instead of type we get rid of this and we put in here list. So we say list equals, and let's just say browsers. And then what we do is we say data list, and we give this an ID that matches our input list. So we have browsers here, so we got to put browsers in here, and this is case sensitive. So if we did capital B, then these two would not be linked together. Okay, and then inside here, in our data list tags, inside here we just provide options with values. So we say option. Okay, we don't need this ending tag on this. We can just say option attribute value equals IE for Internet Explorer, put that in caps, and then let's copy this down a few times, and now let's specify some other browsers, Chrome, Firefox, and finally Safari. Okay, so now then let's take a look at what that's done in our browser. We have this input field here, which looks like a text field, but if we click onto it, you can see that we get this little drop down arrow. If you click this, we have all our options: Internet Explorer, Chrome, Firefox, Safari. So you say at this point, you say, well, what's the difference between this and just using a normal select with options? Well, the difference is the data list has supplied us with a input field that we can actually type into. And what that does is, as we start typing, or as the user starts typing, any sort of values in here that match what the user is typing will actually come up. So for example, if I type in A, we have Safari because Safari contains A's. If I did C, then Chrome comes up. okay, F Firefox, and obviously Safari because it's in there. If I continue typing, Fi, Safari goes away and Firefox comes up. Okay, so that's the data list. And the final one we're going to look at is called output. Now, output is basically used to output calculations in forms. So here, let's do output. And then above this, let's just do input. So this input type here is going to be range. And from the previous lesson, you know that range is basically used to specify a number using this slider here. But we weren't actually able to see what that number is. So here, let's just specify a min of 0 and a max of 100. So although this range slider then goes from 0, which is here, to 100 here, we can't actually see what number we're on as we're actually sliding through this. So what we can do is we can use some JavaScript here, and we will be looking at JavaScript in more detail in a later tutorial. But for now, we're just going to use some JavaScript here to actually output the number onto the screen. So the way that we do that is, in our opening form tag, we specify the attribute of onInput. Okay, so onInput equals, and then here I'm going to say x dot value. Okay, so what is this? Well, let's go down to output, and we're going to give output a name of x. Okay, so x dot value refers to the value in this output field here, or output element here. So what do you want this to be? Well, we want the value of our output to be assigned to the following. We want to say pass int, which basically is just JavaScript method to turn something into a whole number. Int is short for integer, and what we want to turn into a whole number is the value of our input, which is here. Okay, so we're going to say a dot value. So what we're basically saying here is we're saying take x dot value and assign it the value of a dot value, and then here we're just saying turn a dot value into a number so we can actually see it. So down here, we need to specify that this input then has an ID of A. So here I'm just going to say ID equals A. Okay, so before we look at this, let's just go through what we've done here. So we created an input type of range, we gave it a minimum of 0 and a max of 100, and then we gave it an ID of A. Then we created an output here with a name that was equal to X. And then in our opening form tag here, we said onInput equals x.value, which was the value of our output right here. Okay, so x.value is going to be assigned the value. In JavaScript, this equal sign here isn't equals, and it's actually the assignment operator. So we said x.value assign the value of the following, this here, to the value of x. So we're saying a.value, and a.value was this here. Okay, so we give this an ID of a, and then we're saying pass int, turn this into a number, and basically we're saying output that onto the screen here using output. So we go back into our browser, and now if we start sliding this, we can see that we have the numbers changing as we actually slide up and down on here. And we can actually style this. So if we go to our style sheet, okay, we can specify output, and I can say color, let's just say orange red, and we can say font size equals 1.5 em. Okay, and there we go. Okay guys, so that pretty much wraps up our tutorial on HTML forms. I hope you found it useful. Remember guys, HTML is all about outputting the markup onto the screen. We've used a bit of CSS here and there to style things, but in order to actually submit this form, we really need to start looking at stuff like PHP and backend scripting. And as I said, we will look at that a bit later on down the line. Just one more thing before we're done with forms, we can actually group our form elements here by using field set. So if we come up to here and let's just say field set, okay, this provides us with this box here, and inside this we can say legend, and then we can provide this with a name. So here we can just say section 1, okay, and then we can put some input fields in here. Let's just put these 3 in here. Okay, so now as you can see then, this section here now has this border around it specifying that this is one section, and then you can have another one here which is the other section. So for example, you can have about you can say another one that says your specifications. Obviously it depends on what sort of form you're building, but again we can use field set, and then inside the field set tags we can say legend and then this is basically the name of the field set here or section, and then we can specify what input types we want to have inside that section. Again, I hope you found that useful. Please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.